Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Force of Flow. The flow of energy, that is. I mentioned in the first episode that I was going to be getting my certification as a professional coach, but also as an ELI master practitioner and core dynamics specialist. So, those are all titles that revolve around this core energy coaching. And that means that I would like to share what is included in that. And in our training, we learned that there are 7 levels of energy, and you have different thoughts and emotions that go along with those 7 energy levels. For instance, there are 7 of them in all. The first one is all about apathy. The second level is a feeling of anger and resentment. The third one is forgiveness and cooperation. 4 is all about feeling compassion. 5 is the feeling of peace. 6 is joy. And 7 is absolute passion. And the lower energy levels are all about destructive energy, so catabolic energy. And as soon as you reach level 3, that is the gateway to anabolic energy, so being constructive. And your awareness is higher, is a state of feeling more enlightened, if you want to say. And people often describe themselves as, often being in levels 1 and 2 when things go wrong. And things will go wrong. And their thoughts are, man, why am I here? They feel guilty. They are resentful. And they ultimately feel a sense of being lost. When you're in level 3, where it's the gateway to anabolic energy and being very constructive, you start opening yourself up to ways of thinking more positively. So, forgiveness, compassion, peace, and joy. So, when you start hovering on those levels, it's a feeling of being more weightless, having less pressure, knowing that this is also acceptable and it is possible to navigate in places where solutions are in place. One of the sayings that I appreciate in the 7 levels of energy, it is the 7 level framework for mastery in life and business, by Bruce Schneider, is that life doesn't offer you challenges or problems, only opportunities. And that sounds really nice. If you can take that and dissect it a little bit, that can be true, but it doesn't often feel like that. So when you're hovering in these different energy levels, it's perfectly acceptable to be in whatever energy level it is you're in. There is no good or bad or right or wrong, it just is. And it is possible that you stay there for a while. That is okay. The magic of this is that you can hover in all levels of energy in any given moment, in any given day. So I want to share a story that I have with you guys where that is an example for me. I went with a friend the other day to our local animal shelter, and she wanted to adopt a cat, and I was along for the ride. And I went and I played with the kittens, and I sat with the older cats, and I petted them, and I spent some time with them. And unfortunately, my heart fell in love with one of them. It was a scraggly cat, a Persian. He had just been delivered. His master had died and he was neglected, and so he was half shaven. There were lots of knots in his fur, and he didn't look like much. But when I saw him, we locked eyes and he came to me and I got to pet him, and it was just the purr that he vocalized and sat in my lap where I knew, okay, I'm going to have to adopt him too. So I asked the manager of the shelter what I needed to do to set things in motion. So she let me know I should fill out some forms and send some pictures so that she could get a better sense of the living conditions that this cat would be coming into. I did everything. I filled it out, I sent pictures, I called her to make sure she had gotten the information and if there was anything missing. I didn't hear from her. And I called her back and left a message. I didn't hear from her. And I kept bugging her until I also got an appointment with her, and she said I should bring the rest of my family. So I brought my daughter. My daughter loved this cat as well. They right away established a nice bond, and the woman said that she would need some more time to think about it. And I let her know if there was anything else she needed, consider it done. So it was on a Sunday, and I called her, and I had asked whether there was any progress, and she said, give me 1 more hour. And I let that go. And we were so excited. My daughter and I couldn't wait. We had already gone to the animal store, bought the food and the kitty litter and a huge kitty tower and also toys. Pretty much anything a cat could wish for. And in the evening, I managed to reach her, and she had said I was denied. So my thoughts and my feelings, as you could imagine, were complete shock. I didn't understand why. I had done everything that she wanted, and I dipped into these energy levels 1 and 2. I was very angry. I didn't understand. I asked for explanations, and all she said is, you guys don't have the right living conditions, you didn't bring your son, all sorts of excuses that made no sense. And no matter what I tried, she did not change her mind. So all I could think of is this poor animal that I couldn't adopt, having to stay in this place where there were loads of other animals that also hadn't been adopted. So my feeling of, I felt sorry for myself and I couldn't get out of there. And my daughter and I sat there wallowing in our misery a little bit. Needless to say, we tried to think of an alternative. I let my neighbor know that it wasn't possible to adopt this cat. She couldn't believe it, so it set things in motion that we didn't expect. Things like the workers at the pet shelter had contacted the board of directors, who contacted the manager, because they were also baffled by the response and the actions or the inaction of this lady. It turns out that she was hoarding animals and there were way too many. And because of the lack of help and funds to support this place, she was completely over her head. It still didn't change the outcome. We still weren't able to adopt this cat. But what we did do is we drove to the neighboring village, went to the local animal shelter there, and it turns out there were also animals that wanted and needed to be adopted. So we found one, and she was the cutest tiger striped cat. She meowed very little, but also right away there was a connection. We sat with her and played, and she purred. The woman had no problems with our living condition. She had no problems with the information that I gave her. So in a day, she came and saw our house, and she was so excited to let us adopt this cat, who we named Gigi, by the way. But we were able to take her home in a 24-hour time span, and that was also great. So the energy level rose, as you can imagine. So we were in the 4, 5, and 6. We came to terms with the fact that we couldn't adopt the first one, but how awesome it was. And we were filled with joy that we could save another one and take it home and give it a great place to live. So what I want to tell you with this story is, you know what? There were days where I was hovering on these lower energy levels. But after coming to terms with that, I needed to be there. I needed to spend time in that place. But being able to turn it around and come up with I'm going to accept that that was what happened, but I want to think differently. that I was able to move myself out of that and think of alternatives and the opportunity that was waiting on the other side. That was awesome. So there's always a way that you can find a way forward. And this is a constant journey, so it won't be a solution from one moment to the next. And this is the interesting part, the ebb and flow, the force of energy, the movement being constant in every living thing. So it makes me think of Star Wars a little bit. The flow of energy, may the force be with you. There is something to that. You will experience ups and downs, but it's about what you do with those ups and downs that determines what you and how you are and how you're going to show up. Thank you guys for joining me. I really look forward to your feedback and what kind of thoughts and experiences you've had around catabolic, anabolic energy. Talk to you next time, and may the force of flow be with you. Bye-bye.